All right, so today we're diving into the book of Kings,
Okay.
Second Kings to be exact,
Yep.
chapters 1 through 3.
Lots of action in those chapters.
Yeah, we're going to unpack the stories of Kings Ahaziah and Jehoram, and let me tell you, there's some serious drama
Yeah.
in these chapters. We're talking questionable decisions, divine showdowns, and the consequences of putting your faith in the wrong place.
It's a powerful exploration of faith and leadership, wouldn't you say?
Oh, for sure.
These kings in these stories found themselves walking this tightrope between earthly power and the undeniable presence of the divine.
Yeah.
And their choices and who they turn to for guidance really highlight the complexities of their world.
Okay, so let's unpack this. We start with King Ahaziah. He's following the footsteps of his father, King Ahab.
Right.
And let's just say he's got some big sandals to fill.
Yeah, he doesn't exactly get off to a smooth start. Imagine this. You're the king at the height of your power.
Yeah.
And you take a nasty fall from a window lattice. You're seriously hurt.
Ouch.
Now, you'd think that his first instinct would be to call upon the God of Israel for healing, right?
Yeah, it seems like the obvious choice, especially given the religious context of the time.
Exactly.
Right.
But Ahaziah does something unexpected. Instead of turning to his own God, he sends messengers on a rather risky mission to consult Baal-zebub, a god worshipped by the Philistines in the city of Ekron.
So he's basically going to his neighbor's deity for medical advice.
Pretty much.
It makes you wonder, why would a king of Israel, in his moment of vulnerability, turn to a foreign god? What does this tell us about the religious climate back then?
It's a fascinating question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It suggests a certain level of religious syncretism, where different deities and beliefs were vying for influence.
Right.
Perhaps Ahaziah saw Baal-zebub as a more potent source of healing magic.
Mm.
Or perhaps he was hedging his bets, hoping to appease multiple powers.
Right.
Whatever his reasoning, was a decision that would have serious consequences.
And that's where the prophet Elijah enters the scene, right?
Precisely, Elijah, a powerful figure known for his direct connection to God, intercepts Ahaziah's messengers.
Okay.
And let me tell you, he does not mince words.
Okay.
He informs them that because Ahaziah sought counsel from Baal-zebub, he will not recover from his injuries.
That's a pretty stark message. Talk about a wake-up call.
It was a direct challenge to Ahaziah's authority and a powerful reminder that there were consequences for straying from the path of faith.
So how does Ahaziah react to this? Does he reconsider his decision? Maybe turn back to the God of Israel?
Not quite. Instead of humility or repentance, Ahaziah responds with anger and defiance.
Oh, boy.
He sends a captain and 50 soldiers to bring Elijah to him.
Oh, boy. I have a feeling this isn't going to end well for those soldiers.
You're right about that. When they find Elijah, the captain demands he come with them.
Okay.
To which Elijah calls down fire from heaven, consuming the soldiers in an instant.
Wow, that's an intense visual. It's a stark reminder of the power of Elijah's connection to God.
And a pretty clear message that challenging Elijah was not in anyone's best interest.
Right.
Yet, unbelievably, Ahaziah doesn't seem to get it. He sends another captain and 50 soldiers who meet the same fiery fate.
He sends a second group of soldiers. What was he thinking?
Pride and anger can be blinding, can't they?
What?
Maybe he thought sheer force could overcome divine power.
Right.
Whatever his reasoning, his actions demonstrate a dangerous lack of respect for both Elijah and the God he represents.
So 2 groups of soldiers down, and Ahaziah still wants Elijah brought to him. What happens next?
This is where the story takes an interesting turn. A third captain is dispatched.
Okay.
But this time, he approaches Elijah with a very different demeanor.
Okay.
Recognizing the power he's dealing with, the captain falls to his knees before Elijah, pleading for his life and the lives of his men.
He's learned.
He acknowledges Elijah's status as a man of God and begs for mercy.
So a little humility goes a long way, huh? Even when you're dealing with a prophet who can call down fire from the sky.
It seems that way. This time, Elijah, guided by God, agrees to go with the captain to meet Ahaziah. But he doesn't soften the message. He reiterates that Ahaziah's decision to consult Baal-zebub has sealed his fate. And just as prophesied, Ahaziah dies.
It's a tragic end for a king who seemingly had the chance to change his course.
His story really highlights the importance of seeking wisdom and guidance from the right sources, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely.
It also reminds us that even those in positions of power are not exempt for the consequences of their actions.
Absolutely. So Ahaziah's reign ends, and we're left with Elijah, who, if I remember correctly, is about to have a rather dramatic exit of his own.
You're right. God was preparing to take Elijah up to heaven. But before this momentous event, we witness a crucial transition of power to Elijah's devoted follower, Elisha. As God was about to take Elijah away, he and Elisha journeyed together, stopping at various places. Each time, Elijah told Elisha to stay put, saying God had sent him on ahead.
Okay.
But Elisha was unwavering. He refused to leave his side, even making Elijah swear not to leave him.
It's such a powerful testament to Elisha's dedication to his mentor. You get the sense that he knew something extraordinary was about to happen.
Absolutely. He must have sensed the weight of this journey, the significance of these final moments with Elijah. And this journey culminates at the Jordan River, where things get truly remarkable. Elijah takes off his cloak, rolls it up, and strikes the water.
And this is where we see a parallel to the parting of the Red Sea, right? A
That's it.
legendary display of divine power.
Exactly. The waters part just like they did for Moses, allowing Elijah and Elisha to cross on dry ground. On the other side, Elijah turns to Elisha and tells him to ask for whatever he desires before he's taken away.
Okay.
Elisha, realizing this is his last chance, asks for a double portion of Elijah's spirit.
Not just wanting to follow in his mentor's footsteps, but to inherit a double portion of his power. That's bold. What did Elijah say to that?
Elijah told Elisha that it was a difficult thing to ask for, but if he saw Elijah being taken up, it would be granted.
Wow.
That's a lot of pressure, wouldn't you say?
To say the least. So what happened? Did Elisha see it?
Oh, he definitely saw it. A chariot of fire pulled by horses of fire descends from heaven, engulfing Elijah in a whirlwind as he's carried away.
What an incredible, almost cinematic image. It really emphasizes the otherworldly nature of what's happening.
It's a scene filled with awe and wonder. And as Elijah departs, his cloak falls back down to earth. Elisha picks it up, and in a powerful act of faith, strikes the Jordan River just as Elijah had.
He's mirroring Elijah's actions, putting his faith to the test. And what happens? Do the waters part again?
They do. The waters part once more, demonstrating that Elisha has indeed received that double portion of Elijah's spirit. He is now a prophet in his own right, carrying on the legacy of his mentor.
It's almost like passing a torch, or in this case, a powerful miracle-working cloak. So with Elijah gone, does the story shift entirely?
Not entirely. The narrative shifts to Ahaziah's successor, his brother King Jehoram. And just like his predecessor, he faces his share of challenges. This time it's a rebellion led by King Mesh of Moab, who refuses to pay tribute.
Ugh, a classic power struggle. It seems like these kings were always navigating complex political landscapes alongside their religious obligations.
Absolutely. And in a situation like this, Jehoram knows he needs allies. He reaches out to King Jehoshaphat of Judah. You might remember him from the story of Ahaziah.
Right. He seems to be the go-to ally for the kings of Israel.
He does have a knack for finding himself in the middle of these conflicts. So Jehoram and Jehoshaphat, along with the king of Edom, join forces to confront Moab.
Okay.
But as they march through the desert, they encounter a rather significant problem. There's no water for their armies or animals.
That's a serious dilemma, even for kings with powerful allies.
Yeah.
Dehydration can cripple even the mightiest army.
It's a recipe for disaster.
Ah.
Thankfully, Jehoshaphat remembers Elisha and the miracles associated with Elijah's legacy. He suggests they consult Elisha for guidance.
That makes sense. If anyone's got a direct line to divine intervention, it's the guy who just inherited a double portion of a prophet's power.
Exactly. So they go to Elisha, who seems a little hesitant at first. Maybe he's feeling the pressure of stepping into those rather large shoes left by Elijah.
I can imagine. It's one thing to inherit a legacy, but another thing entirely to live up to it, especially when that legacy involves parting rivers and calling down fire from the sky. So did Elisha rise to the occasion?
He did, but not in a way anyone might have expected. Instead of immediately calling upon God for a miraculous downpour, he asks for a musician.
A musician. That's an interesting approach to solving a water shortage. What was he hoping to achieve?
It's a fascinating detail in the story, isn't it? It's just that sometimes even prophets need a little help to tap into divine inspiration. As the music plays, Elisha is overcome by the Spirit of God. Now think about that for a moment. It wasn't the music itself that brought the water, but rather the music helped to create a space, an atmosphere, where Elisha could connect with the divine and receive guidance.
It makes you think about the different ways we create space for inspiration in our own lives, doesn't it? Sometimes it's through music, sometimes through nature, sometimes through quiet contemplation. It's fascinating to see this idea reflected in these ancient stories.
It really is. So with the Spirit of God upon him, Elisha instructs the kings to do something that on the surface seems rather strange, to dig trenches in the valley.
Trenches. In the middle of a desert, I can't imagine there was a whole lot of water just lying around.
Exactly. There's no rain, no spring, no logical reason to think that digging trenches would solve their water problem.
Yeah.
But they trust Elisha's guidance and they dig. And what happens next is nothing short of miraculous. The trenches miraculously fill with water.
It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the answers we seek don't always make sense at first. But if we trust the guidance we're given and take action, even seemingly impossible situations can turn around.
Absolutely. And notice it's not about blind faith, but rather faith combined with action. The king still had to dig the trenches to do their part.
It's a partnership between human effort and divine intervention. So the armies have water, which is a pretty incredible turn of events. What happens with the rebellion?
With their thirst quenched and their faith renewed, the Israelites, guided by Elisha's prophecies, are able to defeat the Moabites. It's a resounding victory, solidifying Jehoram's position and highlighting Elisha's emergence as a powerful leader in his own right.
So we have two kings, Ahaziah and Jehoram, both facing challenges, both with opportunities to make choices. Ahaziah, in his desperation, turns away from the God of Israel and faces dire consequences. Jehoram, on the other hand, although not without his flaws, ultimately chooses to seek guidance through Elisha and achieves a seemingly impossible victory.
It really highlights the contrasting approaches these kings take and the starkly different outcomes that result. Their stories serve as a powerful reminder that even in moments of crisis, even when we've made mistakes, there is always the possibility of turning back, of seeking guidance, and of finding a path toward a better outcome.
It's a message that resonates even thousands of years after these events took place. It really makes you think about your own life, your own choices, and where you turn to for guidance when faced with challenges.
Welcome to Charlie and Mia's podcast. We're embarking on an exciting journey to read through the entire Bible in just 1 year. Every day, we dive into Scripture, exploring its meanings and how it applies to our lives today. We invite you to join us on this incredible adventure of learning and discovery. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode.